Welcome to Literary Gumbo, a continuing look at the world of writers, writing, publishing, anything with a piece of paper, anything that even sounds like it might be something. My name is Fred Klein. I'm the chief stirrer. And my guest today is actually one of a co-author of a novel, Michael BAYOUTH. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much.
And hidden in the studio is your co-author, Kim Klein.
Yep, she's right over there.
Welcome. They both have a very interesting, provocative new novel. But first, I want to get your background. I want to know where you're from and tell me all about yous.
Well, I am an artist, an entertainment artist for the motion picture
industry. Let's go way back. No, I want to go. Where are you from? The West Coast?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I'm a Valley kid.
Yeah.
And I come from kind of a Hollywood home. My dad was a Hollywood stuntman, and my mom was a fashion artist, so I became an entertainment artist.
But what kind of a, boy, that's an interesting household.
It was very bizarre.
Bizarre?
Yeah, I mean, there was just a lot of stunt. He was a stuntman, so there was a lot of.
But I mean, so people knew him. I mean, he was in star like movies.
Big
show.
Oh, sure.
Give me an example.
Well, he doubled John Wayne in about 7 films.
Oh, guy.
Yeah.
I did a book called The Film Encyclopedia, which lists people, and included I guess it included stunts. I can't remember any stuntman offhand. So I'm really interested in those early days of movies.
Yeah, me too. I love those old films.
And your mother was a designer?
My mother was a fashion illustrator, so I learned how to draw from my mother and made my whole living as an artist.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but let's. So, were you the only? Do you have siblings?
I have a brother, and he lives in Thousand Oaks.
And is a business also a showy business?
No, he's in construction, and he's a contractor.
Okay. And okay, so you went to school. Where'd you go to?
I went to Art Center College of Design. It's out in Pasadena.
Okay.
And got a job at NBC right out of high school, and spent a lot of years working in ad agencies. And
wait, stay with them. He said, let's go. We're going at NBC at Burbank.
Yes.
What were you like? Just an escort, or what did you do?
I was a graphic artist. I did a lot of courtroom illustration, a lot of trial assignments where I was the artist in the courtroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was a lot of fun.
My favorite, now like Law and Order. Of course, they allowed people in the courtroom and those things.
Yeah, well, cameras.
But you illustrated. So did you go? Oh, I see. That's very.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and I really had a lot of very different jobs. Working for Marvel, for Stan Lee was one of them.
Okay.
And
the more name dropping you do, the better. Just keep it going, Michael. Keep it going.
Well, and the co-author, Kim Klein.
We'll get to Kim. No,
okay.
I don't want to
overlook poor Kim out there in the studio. No.
So then so you're rubbing in show business there, okay?
Yeah, and I've directed and produced a few small budget feature films and got into filmmaking and written a handful of scripts before I met Kim. But
okay,
this is our first novel, my first novel I've ever co-written, and so this is a wonderful new territory for me to explore.
Well, how did you meet her, and how did that, you get to this point?
Kim
was
and
she
I
writing before you?
Oh yeah, she's written for a long time.
She has?
Blogs and for newspapers and magazines.
What's her background then?
Well, she grew up on this island of Kwajalein in the Pacific.
She actually
Yes, when she was like 14, 15, 16. Her father was in the military.
So in a sense, this is her story.
It is. It's loosely based on her experiences there, and then we fictionalized it and embellished a lot. And so.
But okay, so you meet. How did you meet? You met.
We met through friends, and she lived up in Santa Barbara. I lived in the San Fernando Valley. We started meeting in Carpinteria, which is not far from here, and we started.
And the word Greyhound. Somebody in your background, the drink Greyhound, was that it? That's my drink? No, did you mean it as the drink Greyhound?
I don't know. Did we mention a Greyhound?
Somewhere in your bio is the word Greyhound.
Well, we may have had a few Greyhounds that inspired the novel. I'm not sure.
It's vodka grapefruit juice.
Yeah, it's good drink.
Okay, then it is. I mean, that you didn't even have to write the book. That's all I needed was the word Greyhound. Okay, I'm sorry. So, you're meeting now.
Yeah, and after we met, she was telling me about, I said, so where'd you grow up? And she started telling me about this island called Kwajalein. I said, what? I've never even heard of the island at that point. And the more she told me about it, that is this little half-mile wide by 3-mile long island out in the middle of the Pacific. I mean, 2,500 miles from anything, that the kids had tremendous freedom. This was 1969. And I said, it sounds like a great backdrop for a Steven Spielberg movie, on a missile base where there's a lot of secrecy, and then the kids are free. And there's, in 1969, during the Vietnam War, I said, oh my gosh, tell me more. And the more she told me, the more my mind spun. And then we sat down and started.
How long ago?
This was 2 years ago, roughly.
But that whole, I want you to sort of tease the story. I
Yes.
mean, with your background, I'm sure you can do it in 105 words or less. No.
Well, the story is.
So you decided to get together and write this book. You haven't
Yes.
written things together, but she's written many other things. Has she written fiction before? Has she written?
Yes, I believe she's written some fiction, but she's written a thing called the Coffee Shop Diaries for a long time, which is a popular blog.
Okay.
Yeah, about relationships.
Okay.
And, yeah, and it's really well written and very, very popular.
And that's going to come up because it's important. I want to get to how you're selling this book too.
Well, yeah,
but anyhow, but let's not get to that yet.
Okay.
Now tease the story.
Well, 6 teenagers in 1969 get transplanted to this island.
So that's 3 girls and 3 boys.
Yeah, roughly. I think. I think there were 4 girls and 2 boys.
2, yeah. I think
but they were transplanted to this island, and they're.
In what period again?
This is 1969. And the backdrop is the Vietnam War. One of the boys has a brother who's leading the protests at Berkeley. And they start asking questions about, what do they do at that missile base? And, I think they test nukes. What? No. Yeah. And guess what? A lot of other nuclear stuff.
But wait. But that's ultimately revealed. But first, they're just growing.
Sure.
They're just growing up.
Yeah, they're not sure. And so they start talking about they hear through the grapevine.
The girls are experimenting. The boys
are
come on.
There's a military sexual predator that's kind of kind of in the wings, who's kind of like preying on one of these girls in the group, and there's one of the girls falling in love for the first time, and so we're dealing with these issues that young people,
it's a coming of age.
Very much. But the more research Kim and I did on this, the more it became a think piece. It really did, because we started uncovering this true life history. I mean, this is a fiction novel, but there's a lot of real life history that's in this, Fred, and it's really daunting and scary to think that a lot of people don't know about this history.
And why don't you tell? Because this is history. This is U.S. history.
This is true,
and this is absolutely true. Now,
after
what's behind the whole thing.
World War II, the United States tested 65 nuclear bombs.
65 nuclear bombs
over a 12-year period
in
the
Marshall Islands.
In the Marshall Islands area, and.
That's South Pacific,
this
right?
This is the Pacific. This is out in the Pacific Ocean, and not too far from from these islands where these kids are living on Kwajalein. But they start learning this and going, wow. They befriend their history teacher, and they start asking him questions. And it's a very controlled curriculum, even in the high school.
Because he knows he can't talk.
He can't talk about too much,
or else he'll lose his job.
But he identifies with these kids because that's how he became a history teacher. He had a thirst for knowledge. They have a thirst for knowledge. And he wants to give them, he relates to that. So he secretly takes them out to a neighboring island where some of these Marshallese people still live. And they talk about these radiation effects that they endured for years afterwards, which were from some of the nuclear testing out there. There was like fallout that actually covered up several islands, Rongelap and several others. And the Marshallese were left there for a couple of days before they were rescued. So they thought it was snowing. And they didn't know, they'd never seen a nuclear bomb. They didn't know what fallout was. And the effects of the radiation over a period of years, these Marshallese women had these, they referred to them as jellyfish babies. Babies with no bones and transparent babies. It was horrible. But in their culture, if you were a Marshallese woman that had a deformed child, it meant you were disloyal to your husband. So it was hushed up. And they were buried quietly and nobody talked about it. And the government went, oh, how convenient. And so consequently, a lot of this is not real well known. We started researching it and we went, oh my gosh, this is so much bigger than a coming of age movie or a coming of age book. So we wrote the screenplay first and then the novel second. And these kids, one of the kids' brothers, he gets, the guy who's protesting at Berkeley, he gets drafted and he gets killed in Vietnam. And these kids realize that the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in a crisis do nothing. And they feel like they have to do something. They're just kids though.
Yeah.
They can't do anything, but they feel like they have to protest.
So you got on two levels. You've got still kids growing up and doing lots of kidsy things.
That's right.
The girls are teasers and whatever. Is you've got those two layers.
That's right. That's why it appeals to a wide demographic.
And then ultimately,
from baby boomers all the way to 14-year-olds.
It isn't just one or the other.
We had a 14-year-old read our book and said it was the best book she's ever read. She's a voracious reader. She goes, oh my gosh, it was great. So these kids do a protest where they break into the missile base and scale one of the missiles with a can of spray paint. And it leads to devastating circumstances, but it brings awareness to the entire youth population on the island. And it's a really wonderful story about these kids who have this need to like make a difference. And sometimes you have to take a risk if you're going to make a difference.
Well, but let's go. But I still worry. I don't think the public is aware of all that testing that went on. Yet at that period, there may have been a lot of attention, but certainly recently.
Fred, the Bravo test?
Is there any visual? Does anybody have any film of that stuff? They must have filmed some of that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially if you were writing the screenplay.
If you go on... Go on YouTube. Old black and white film test. The government has all that stuff filmed.
Available for
Yes, you can see it all.
Really?
The biggest test of the 65 nuclear bombs that they dropped over the 12-year period was the Bravo test.
Yeah.
It was like 15 times more powerful than they thought it was going to be. It was the largest nuclear accident. And even though it was intentional, it was much bigger than they ever planned on. It was the largest nuclear accident in the United States history. And so March 1st, this year, March 1st, is the 60th year anniversary of the Bravo test.
This coming
March 1st is 60 years. And that's why 9 Degrees North is the name of the book. And that's why you should read about it and know about it and make sure that this kind of a thing never happens again in the history of mankind.
What are we going to do about March 1st? We got to do something with March 1st.
Well, Kim and I came up with an idea calling it Illumination Day. And we want to make a holiday, not a holiday, but a day of remembrance.
Well, I think you haven't got enough time to do it all.
You're right.
So I think you've got to do it, you've got to do it in smaller amounts at this moment.
Yeah.
It's got to be built. I mean, the number of years it took to get, official dates in the calendar. It takes a lot of work.
Yes.
But if you can do something again and get television coverage, get news coverage of
that would be so great.
But now what can you do is the question.
We're self-published.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We're doing everything on our own.
Okay. The point is you came to a point where you felt now the book was finished and the screenplay was already, and people were looking at the screenplay at the same time as you're doing the book.
Right.
Okay, so you self-published this book.
Right.
And what's happened to it?
Well,
what have you been able to do?
The wonderful thing is about 3 days after we started writing it, she's been in touch with like 4 friends that she grew up with on Kwajalein.
Still there?
Yeah, they're not still there necessarily, but
what is there now?
It's still a missile base. There's some people that live there.
It still is,
but it's still a very difficult island. You can't get on the island unless you have approved and passes and whatnot. But it's very.
But it's considered a U.S.
It's still a U.S. Military installation.
Okay.
But she had 4 friends that she was still in touch with who she had grown up with there, and I said, look, let's start a Facebook page. And just invite your 4 friends. Maybe they'll know 4 friends. And just tell them what we're doing and invite them to tell their stories and whatnot.
Good.
Fred, within 1 week, we had over 400 people join this group.
Really?
Within 1 week.
Wow.
Now we've got over 600 members. When this book went on sale March of last year, it immediately took off.
So you did it March 1st last year?
It was about March. I think it was the end of March, wasn't it, Kim? It was about maybe been towards the end of March. I'm not sure.
I just
But
like
anyway,
to have everything nice and neat.
yeah. So the Friends of Kwaj Facebook page, Friends of Kwaj.
Yeah.
They all just embraced it. Many of them bought it.
So they told their story.
Many of them came to the Facebook page and told everybody who just wanted to show pictures and talk about their childhood stories. And it's been a wonderful, I feel like I grew up there. I do, just by proxy of being involved with all these wonderful people for such an extended period of time. And so thank God for the Kwajers. They've been so supportive of our endeavor. And
Are they? But are they all distributed around the country, the world, or from all over?
From all over. Some of them still
So
live on
could
the
they,
island.
in their community, maybe that's the way of getting it further. You know, you're talking about the March 1st, is quickly getting something done.
We would love that, and we're trying to get an agent, a literary agent, to represent our screenplay, so we can get this made into a film.
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle. I mean, the literary agents are getting a stack of screenplays every day, so it's not like it's easy. It's difficult.
I know it isn't. I know it is.
You know that game.
I know that very, very, very well.
So we're
especially when you're self-published too.
We're really reaching out to see who can help us. Who this is not just a frilly light little book. This has a lot of really heavy subjects and it's important and it should be seen.
In a way, it's timely when you think about even the Edwards, the Snowden stuff. The fact that a lot of things were hidden or pushed aside, or that time has gone on and people have forgotten about those things. Yeah. Those are things to remember.
This deals in transparency, bringing topics that have been swept under the carpet to light. Yeah. So you're very right about that.
So I think what you're really probably going to have to do is to get the publicity, to finally get to somebody, a professional who's going to help you.
And you're going to help us, right?
Yeah. Also, but I have to thank. Didn't you come through the Granada bookstore?
Oh, they're wonderful. And what wonderful people! We did a book signing there, and they told us.
I didn't know about those things.
They are wonderful people over there. They told us about you. They said you got to go on Literary Gumbo. It's a perfect show for you.
I like the fact that what about Chaucer's? What about Teccolodi?
Well, we've done 2 or 3 book signings,
and Curious Cup, even though
we did a signing there.
Oh, you did.
They're great.
Did the signing.
It's wonderful. Cup. Yeah. Really, but the onus is on us to make all of this happen.
But I suddenly like the March 1st. The March 1st tie-in, certainly with some place like Chaucer's. Chaucer's, really is in a sense of number of copies and attention.
Yes.
You really have to get to.
That's a great
Chaucer's.
idea.
But that March 1st, if somehow you've got physical newspapers or clippings or something that shows, what really happened, as sort of a teaser, just to get again. Who's doing something at the Santa Barbara News Press? Have they covered it?
We sent them the book, and they said they're reviewing it. We haven't heard back from them.
But did you have that? You didn't have that March 1st day, because you were talking about last year.
You're right.
No,
you're right.
I think it's almost like stickering the book. March 1st.
You're right about that. We should do a snipe.
Something like that is.
But we really need a PR person to help represent us to get this into newspapers, to get this to that engine out there.
But you got to beyond just Santa Barbara. We're talking
absolutely.
LA, certainly LA.
Absolutely. It's a big uphill. It's a big uphill, daunting task to market this the way it deserves to be marketed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're all about doing it, but we just finished our second screenplay, which is a romantic comedy called 21 Sunsets.
Oh, nothing to do with
and so
numbers. You're into numbers, is that it?
Yeah, we're into numbers exactly. Yeah. But 21 Sunsets has been on our plate for the last year, so we've been paying attention to that instead of this.
But wait, let's go back. But why screenplay? What am I trying? I was going to say why screenplay first.
I'll answer that question, and there is an answer. Screenplay is 100 pages, give or take.
Yeah.
You flesh out the story and you flesh out the characters in a screenplay, and you're only dealing with 100 or so pages. You do a novel, and then you're looking at 360 pages in this novel.
Yeah.
And so we got to know our story, we got to know our characters, we got to know everything we needed to know about the story by writing the screenplay. And we saw the whole thing, because the screenplay is all visual. And then writing the novel was a slam dunk. It was so much easier for us because we knew every one of these kids, every one of these history teachers, inside and out. And then writing about them in length was easier.
Is there a TV program? I mean, because you're talking about, let's say, 3 boys and 3 girls. I mean, is there anything on the air now?
Yes.
I think of the entire cast suddenly going from TV show to
The History
film.
Channel. This would be such a great miniseries, like the Hatfields and the McCoys, or any of those historical things.
With actual photographs.
Yeah,
of
to
the
do
stuff.
it as a 3-part, 4-part, 6-part miniseries on television, where you're dealing with teenagers, but you're bringing all this history.
And you say that there is visual of some of the tests and whatever.
Absolutely.
Because you would need that.
All
no
of this
matter what.
information is out there. It's incredible how much stuff there is. And I think a lot of people look at it and they just go, wow, this happened during the war. This was the U.S. pounding their chest after World War II ended, going, look how powerful we are, don't mess with us. And going, hey, we want to use your island, Bikini Island, to blow off an atomic bomb just to warn the other countries and let them know how powerful we are, and to end war forever in the name of ending war forever. And the Marshallese, they didn't know what the atomic bomb was. They had no idea. They thought, oh, in the name of God? We know that word. God, that's good. Sure, if it's for God, come on in and do it. And that island, Bikini Island, a lot of them say that the island is off limits for 30,000 years, Fred.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, geez.
This is really serious stuff.
But now I just figure I got to find a way of capitalizing on it.
You're right.
You've got
You're
some,
right.
And I like that March 1st idea, too.
I do, too. Illumination Day. We want to light off 60 lanterns into the sky, and for every year in remembrance of all the people that perished, all the Marshallese, and the homes and the lives that were lost, that it never happened again. Bring attention, call attention to it.
But then they have to have the material.
We want to make it like, we want to do posters and a parade or something that brings a remembrance to this grave moment in history.
Yeah. Well, I think that's grandiose, but I think you're going to have to start smaller.
Yeah.
But if you can start in a couple of cities, and again with the Kwaj alumni,
Yes.
somehow also being involved, they're actually your sales force.
Yes.
They're going out doing something.
Yes.
But you've got to give them material so they can give it to the newspaper, so they can give it to the TV show or whatever.
You're
radio,
absolutely
or
right.
whatever.
It's going to take a real savvy PR person to gather all these
And actually,
materials and get it out there.
Okay,
And-
now it's finding that savvy,
Yes,
that
it is.
savvy
Yes,
marketing
it is.
person, because we've had, I think even in Santa Barbara, though Lisa does some of that stuff.
Oh, great.
We really don't have some people with deep professional experience on the real marketing stuff, which is what I did back in the days when I was in publishing. You really need. I mean, most of them are very expensive. I have a friend. I have a friend in L.A. who may help you, but she's like $1,000.
Oh, I know. It's very expensive. That's why it's kind of sad in a way, because our forte is writing.
Yeah.
It's not PR. We don't know that PR world, and our finances are what they are. So we don't have like this endless account that we can just draw from and say, oh, we'll hire the most influential PR person we know. So maybe your show will somebody will see your show and contact us.
But also let me think. Maybe in my acquaintances,
That'd be great.
I'm just trying to think of a friend in L.A., a woman who used to be at Universal.
Oh.
who is doing this kind of thing.
Wow, that would be
With
extremely
people,
helpful.
actually with personalities, but I think she might like this. So anyhow, let me
Thank you.
let me see if I can do anything. But now let's talk. So let's talk about the next book. I mean, we got 3.5 minutes. I mean, come on.
Okay, well,
The two of you.
when-
Wait. Who comes up with that? How do you work? How does the relationship work?
you know,
You each take a chapter, or
well,
what?
it's just like you might think. She takes the female view, I take the male view, and
Oh, really?
yes, and then we pass our material by one another, and
So who was Mig? Who was Mig?
Mig was actually based on her old boyfriend.
Oh,
But you know, a lot of fiction, and we've taken a lot of liberties obviously.
Okay.
But our experience last year writing this in Carpinteria at the Loft, we had a lot of fun in just getting together and doing this, and we came up with the idea of 21 Sunsets about two writers who had they had a relationship, they had broken up, and they wrote a screenplay together, which all of a sudden has got interest by Hollywood, and it gets dusted off, and they have to rewrite it together after they've broken up. And so the catalyst for all this comedy, you know, lies right there, and that's what 21 Sunsets is about. And it's got a great heart. It's got a lot of really good comedy in it, and it's got Montecito, Santa Barbara, and Carpinteria, all real locations built into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Built into it.
Yes, actual locations where we were at and where we visited. And so there's, you know, the El Encanto up in Santa Barbara. There's
You ought to go
Cava
to the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Convention and Visitors Bureau?
of Santa Barbara, and I mean they promote Santa Barbara. They promote, you know, all the good things
We'll do
that
that.
happen.
We'll do that.
I would, and I think they even cover. They may cover Carpinteria for all I know. I don't
Yes.
know how far they go.
Yes.
Yeah. No. They're very. Kathy Janiga Dykes is
Oh,
the
great.
gal's name.
Well, we definitely will, but it's a cute screenplay, a very light, lovable comedy. It's got a huge heart, and we're going to be writing the novel next now that the screenplay's done.
So now you got. I see. Yeah, you probably have others still in mind to go.
Oh,
to.
sure. Kim's got Letters from York, which is one of her properties, and we've got a mystery thing that we're working on now.
I like the but I'm liking these unexpected historical
Me too.
events that somehow today can even
Yes.
influence or
Yes, very passionate about
Yeah.
it. A lot of kids are going, I never knew this
Well,
about our history. I never knew this.
yeah.
And we love it when we hear that.
you ought to give it to a class.
We have. We've
and just see what happens to the class.
We contributed about 20 copies to the LA school system.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're very excited about that contribution, and it's changing a lot of lives.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've got 53 seconds, and I just want to wish you all the best, certainly on 9 Degrees North.
9 Degrees North.
And that's what's available today, and that's what's available at paper every place. Where is it available? We know it's available.
It's available on Amazon.com.
Granada? Okay.
And if you want to contact us, you can reach us at my email, mike@bayouth.com.
Okay.
BAYOUTH, mike@bayouth.com. Email us, contact us, get the book on Amazon.